Hot conversations on hot topics. Your host, JC Tevez.
How's it going, monsters? Good evening. JC Tevez back with you for the show that made FM radio talk. Heard on Thursdays only on Manila's hottest, Monster RX93.1. And it's National Women's Month. Yes, it is. And as Queen Beyonce says, who runs the world? Yeah, girls, girls, girls. And when she says girls, of course, she means the women. And to quote further from the song, how they're smart enough to make these millions, strong enough to bear the children, then get back to business, which seems like the very description of a successful working mother, of which we have one on the show tonight. Our guest is a lifestyle and parenting writer, a book editor, and a PR consultant. She is the author of the book Not Invisible, a memoir on marriage and motherhood. She was also the editor-in-chief of the celebrity magazine OK Philippines. Her work has appeared in Cosmopolitan, Mega, Good Housekeeping, Smart Parenting, Project Vanity, and many other titles. She is the co-founder of Lean In PH, the local network of the global support organization for women who want to achieve their dreams. And when she finds the time, she updates Topaz Horizon, a 15-year-old blog about her life as a woman, as a wife, and as a working mom. On top of all this, she takes care of her husband, Vincent, their sons, and their pets, a rabbit, and 3 hamsters. Heard on Thursdays, we welcome the author of Not Invisible, Frances Amper Salas. Frances, thank you for joining us on the show this evening.
Hi JC. Hi everybody.
Thank you very much for taking the time to join us, and welcome back to the Monster, Frances. I understand you used to visit the station every month to promote Summit publication. In fact, you were also editor-in-chief of OK, the celebrity magazine, and so we welcome you back. We welcome you back, and since your days with you've gone into other ventures. You've written a book, which we'll talk about in a bit, Not Invisible. We'll delve into the story behind that book and why you wrote it and the inspiration behind it. But since I always kick off my show here asking you, because of the quarantine, because of the lockdown, what have you been doing outside of your regular activities, outside of writing, outside of maybe being an editor or fulfilling your blog? Have you been doing anything fun on the side? Watching any cool shows on Netflix?
Yes, too much Netflix. And basically the only thing, I've been working from home for a long time now, 8 years, I think, 9 years. 9 years.
Wow.
So my life hasn't really changed because I've been working from home and I've been a wife and a mom for that long. But what has changed in the last year and what has been difficult for me was homeschooling. I have 3 sons. And talagang every day I think, bakit ang dami kong anak? Because it's so hard. I didn't realize homeschooling was so hard. So that is the only thing that's really changed, aside from not being able to go out. But that's what has changed, homeschooling.
Homeschooling.
Now a teacher. Yeah.
Wow. Oh man, that's we've had on the show guests who talked about homeschooling and like the benefits that it has. How do you feel about homeschooling in general, Frances? It must be something that. Did you grow up homeschooled? Yes or no?
No, I went to school. I went to like school.
Traditional
school. Yes, traditional school. I have a love-hate relationship with homeschooling. It's not easy, maybe because it's my first time. At the same time, I'm doing it during a pandemic where we're really locked up at home. We can't go out. We can't visit museums. The kids have to do their PE here at home. And yeah, it's not hard though. Like, I don't want to say my life is so bad. No, it's just adjusting. Yeah.
Adjusting. All right, understood. So you said you've been working at home for the last 8 or 9 years. Could you give our insight to our listeners, to our monster listeners out there? What have you been doing? Like, what exactly does that 8 years comprise of? Because you've written a book, but what else have you been doing working from home? Writing articles?
Yes, but my main source of income is my blog. I have a blog. Yes, and for a while it was I was earning a lot from it.
Mm.
there. And so that was a lifesaver. I'll always be grateful for jumping into blogging 15 years ago
Mm.
there. And then with the blog, I'm also doing some PR consultancy work for family friendly brands.
Mm.
And then I also edit a book. And then I also wrote a book. And then ano pa ba ginagawa ko? Oh, and I write articles here and
Right.
there for everywhere.
Great. I love to hear it. I'm very interested about your take on blogging because you said you started 15 years ago, and this is the Topaz Horizon blog, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Let's go in. First of all, let's talk about the title, Topaz Horizon. Topaz, like the gemstone, is that correct?
Yes, that's my birthstone. See, my
That's
birthstone.
so that's the reason why you called it Topaz Horizon
Yes.
because of. So you started 15 years ago when I would say was maybe maybe here in the Philippines, you were probably a pioneer of the blogging scene. Is it safe to assume that? Because
Yes.
what was that? 2000, I can't even do the math on it. 2006? Is that correct?
2006. Yes.
2006. Okay. So tell us
Right.
about why you started the blog in 2006 and how you were able to maintain it and I guess continue it for 15 years in
I
this day.
know, it's my longest career. Okay, it started like this.
Hmm.
Um, I had friends who were bloggers, and then I was already working in the magazine industry back then.
Mm.
And I was invited, I don't know why, but I was picked to go to Singapore for a blogging conference. So I went, and then I found out that these bloggers from Singapore, Australia, Indonesia, Malaysia, they were earning so much money. And then I was already editor in chief back then, and I wasn't earning that much. so, so parang unfair. Hindi. I was just thinking na, wait a minute, this is supposed to be my job. My work is words. And
Mm.
yet these kids, because they were kids,
Yeah.
they were buying cars, their houses were sponsored already. So
Wow.
at first I felt angry about it because I felt like I was the professional, but I wasn't getting paid as much as they were. So I came home from Singapore and I remember talking about it with my husband. And then he was just telling me, uh, I don't understand why you don't see it as an opportunity instead.
Mhm.
So I decided then and there to start no, I already had a blog, but
Mhm.
I started thinking of making it into an income generating venture. And that was what started the blogging as a business way back then pa. Pero it only really took off 2012,
Oh, so
2000. Tagal
six,
din
six
there.
years 6 years into your blogging career, did it really kind of become
Yeah.
an avenue of income for you?
Yeah. So when people tell me they want to start a blog so that they can become rich, I'm like, guys, it doesn't work like that. Like you really have to put in the work first, as with
Uh,
everything. As with
yes.
everything.
Absolutely. For our listeners who maybe have not visited your blog in the past, could you share just maybe a short little blurb about what you write about? What do you blog about on your
Well,
blog?
I'm a mom now. It used to be about my life as an editor because it was glamorous way back then, but now it's not. So, so before, mas marami siyang readers kasi, mas glamoroso siya. But now
Mhm.
when I'm just talking about my life as a mother, like my beauty and shopping finds, but everything is all connected to being a working mom. So that's what I blog about now. So it's a it's a very niche audience there,
Got
and
it.
I like it that way.
Mm. So since you started in 2006, you've seen the transformation of the social media landscape. Blogging was huge, I'm sure, in 2006, but
Yes.
now it's all about video content, even podcasts to some
Yes.
extent. Have you considered changing platforms, or at least expanding to a different platform? Maybe making a Topaz Horizon vlog. or to pause a ride?
Yeah, you know what, JC? I'm not like you. You have a beautiful voice. Me kasi, people make fun of my voice all the time. Kasi
Why?
it sounds, well, you're hearing me now. So, it's matinis na, basta hindi siya pang DJ there. So I know that I don't know, maybe it hurts people's ears. So I even though I thought before maybe it would be good to have a vlog, because even the brands, they say, do you have a vlog? Do you have TikTok? Do you have, because everyone wants to watch things
Yeah.
now instead of read. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, you know what? I don't think I'm for that there. So yeah, I'm not
I disagree.
evolving. I'm not evolving.
I think you would be perfect for it. I think you should give even just TikTok a chance. I think it would you could relate with a lot of people out there and reach a really wide audience.
Hindi ba pambata lang siya?
Sometimes I feel the same way. I'm like, oh my, I'm scrolling through TikTok. I'm like, oh my gosh, how are they doing all these crazy edits? But
Yeah.
I think there's a market for any sort for someone who like especially for mothers. I think that
For
there is.
middle-aged women like me.
I think there's a little niche portion of TikTok that is really a mother TikTok. I don't know if there's a hashtag TikTok mothers, but I'm sure there is.
Sige, JC, for you, I will check it out.
Yes. All right, so Francis, let's talk about your editing career as well. I'm very interested to hear about that since you were editor in chief of a magazine here,
Yes.
and you since you've been doing things or work from home, you've been editing books. You mentioned you're editing books, but you're also writing articles. Can you tell us about life as an editor? You did mention how glamorous it was back then. Can you maybe share some stories of what made it so glamorous versus maybe now, and it's not so glamorous?
Well, well, we did go to a lot of events. We
Mhm.
met a lot of important people. And we traveled a lot. You know what? Sounds like blogging also, no?
Yes.
Yeah, but I had a staff. I had a boss.
Mhm.
So there were targets to meet, money that needs to be made. So it was more stressful, but it was also more exciting. I like meeting targets there. It's different
Would
now
you
when you're yeah.
would you say you were you what's that movie Devil Wears Prada? Was it something like that? Was there anything? Was it even remotely close to some of the things we saw in
Something
that
like that. Yes, it was something like that. In fact, I watched Devil Wears Prada a few last year actually on Netflix,
movie?
and it just felt like it was from another lifetime.
Yeah.
Like that used to be my world,
Hmm.
and I'm not even Preview or Cosmo. I was just okay
Hmm.
magazine. The Preview and Cosmo girls had it better, you know? So, yeah. Kasi kami chismis lang naman kami, right? So, yeah. So, but I still went through a little of that and it was really nice. But at the same time, uh, it's gone, that world, because of the internet. The
Social
internet
media.
killed magazines. Yeah.
Yeah. What about the transition to the online sphere for magazines? Is it something that's sustainable? Is it something that will they still be, because the names that you threw out, Cosmo, they're still around, albeit not maybe being in print form
Wow.
anymore. So how do you foresee the future of like magazines on the online sphere as someone who was an editor in chief before of magazines?
Gosh, I don't know. Sobrang tagal ko na away from that world, and I also don't really know their business model.
Mhm.
So, um, and a lot of people, the audience now, they like following personalities
Mm.
versus a brand, right? So I don't know how they're surviving,
Mm. I
and that's all
understand.
I'm gonna say.
All right. Let's switch gears, Francis. Let's talk about your book because You have a book, and by the way, we talked about this behind the scene. It's sold out for now. That's
Yes,
how
yes.
popular it
Sold
is.
out.
But once stocks come back in, Francis, please tell them about your book. It's called Not Invisible. It's a book about
Yes,
marriage and motherhood and love,
yes,
and you
yes,
call it a memoir. So it's a very
yes.
intriguing title for a memoir. So who is this Not Invisible that you are referring to in the title? Is it you?
It's me.
Okay.
Well, it's an essay. It's the title of an essay in one. It's a title of one of the essays in the book. It's I talk about how something happened between me and my husband that made me realize that he still looks at me after all these years. And alam mo yun, I don't know if you know, but sometimes when you've been in a relationship for so long, you take each other for granted, or maybe you just assume they don't really see you anymore because you're just going through the motions. And but something happened that day, and I wrote about it, where I was surprised that he was looking at me and he likes me pa rin, and he loves me pa rin after iyak ako after so many years there. So that is the title of that essay, and I wrote about it. And then when I was looking through all the essays and thinking what would be a good title for the book, I was
Mhm.
thinking of a theme, but then I saw that and I realized that all my stories in the book were about me saying, I'm here and this is my story and I want you to see me. So
Mm.
that became the title of the book.
It kind of encompass the major theme of all the essays in a way. Being
Yes. Yeah.
invisible. So the structure of the book, I assume, is a collection. It's a collection of essays. Then, correct?
Yes.
Is that how it is? Do you have a number count? An exact number count
30.
of 30
30
essays,
essays.
and each
But they're
one
all
just
short.
they're all short. Okay. So you mentioned the story about your husband and how you felt that there was something that he did there where you felt that he still sees you. But the other 29 essays, although maybe the similar theme, can you maybe share maybe a short little excerpt from another story that might be a little bit unrelated to the first one you talked about? You have
Oh,
stories about your kids?
well, I definitely, a major chunk of the book is about my kids and how I feel about them. And then there's also stories about my mother because, well, she's my biggest influence as a mom. And but she's passed away already, so she never saw me become a mom. And what else? I also wrote about how it's about the last 10 years of my be, being a mother,
Yes.
and I basically write about the transition from. Uh, I write about the changes in me, in my attitude, in my life, and that it wasn't all easy and it wasn't all beautiful because everyone assumes, Mom, you're so tender and loving, and it's not all baby powder and
Mm.
breezy curtains. It's a lot of blood and snot and poop, and that's shocking. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, right? I mean, come to think of it, of course, motherhood is all about that. But they never talk about that. They always
Yeah.
like post on social media or on the ads, the soap ads and whatever, that it's such a peaceful existence when it's not.
Yeah.
And I had to struggle with that
And I
lie.
think that a lot of people who have purchased the book and read the book, they were able to really relate. It hit a chord with a demographic of readers of yours. I was just browsing through Amazon, for example, and seeing the reviews. One person who bought your book said that they found themselves teary eyed reading the portions of your book because they were so relatable. Is that a main reason why you wrote the book, because you wanted to maybe relate to other people? Because as somebody who writes essays about their life, it's maybe was your plan to be relatable at the same time to other people, or were you just really putting your emotions on the page and hoping that somebody would kind of relate to you, or were you writing it with intention of making it relatable to, let's say, mothers out there and
No naman. It was really about what I was going through. But
Mhm.
yes, it was again my magazine training, my journalism training that pag journalist ka kasi, when you write a story, you're not just when you're writing an article, it's not always about you. There should always be something there that helps your reader. So for example, like when you write about um, let's say Marian Rivera wore this beautiful dress. That's not enough. You have to say where she bought it.
Mhm.
So that may take away yung reader na, okay, kung gusto kong bumili niyan, this is where
I
I
go.
can buy it. Yeah, sometimes if it's a fashion story, then you also say it'll look best on women who have this body shape or ganyan, right? So
Mhm.
there should always be a takeaway, and that still played into when I write. Nah, it's not just about me telling my story. Yes, you're right. There's also a part of me that says, do you understand? Do you
Mhm.
know what I'm talking about? Do you feel the same way? And
Mhm.
I think that helped women relate to the stories because yes, they were also going through the same things.
Got it.
So
Got it.
yeah.
Since you
Yeah.
tackled since you tackle marriage also in the book, is there something that, let's say, a guy or a man like me reads the book? Will it? Is there something in there for me as well? I mean, of course, anyone can read it, but do you think that it would be relatable to a man like me?
Well, I
Stories.
do have an I do have an essay about sex.
Okay.
So yeah, and I hope men reading that would understand why their wives maybe are not as enthusiastic to get
Hmm.
sex like you know like they want. Kasi
Right.
men, it's very easy, like I'm turned on and then that's it, let's do this, right?
Mhm.
But women, alam mo, nag-marriage counseling ka, marriage counseling, ano yun yung that counseling thing you do before you get married? I forget what it's called. Anyway, they say, they were telling us na ang lalaki daw parang switch, you just turn him on and he's on,
Oh.
whereas women were like plancha daw, an iron. We need to warm up
Mm.
before anything happens. And you put you put these two people together, and how is that going to work, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the I shared some some secrets in the
Okay.
book about how it is, like it's different, when you're married for a long time and then the man is like, hey, I'm getting lonely here, and then the woman is also, I'm so tired, I don't really feel like doing it. Like, where is the compromise and how can
Right.
it happen? Because sex is important in a marriage.
Mhm.
So that's
Definitely.
something you cannot neglect.
I
I
see.
hope my
Also,
husband isn't listening.
Francis, the process of writing the essays, what was that like? Was that just every week you would write a new one, or did you just write whenever you uh,
No,
became inspired? How
many
did
of
you do that?
the essays were already written because I have a blog, right?
Yes, yes.
So all of them were already there. But when I was given the opportunity to turn it into a print version, into a book, I had to edit it and attack it. It's not a blog anymore. It's not just a diary. It has
Yes.
to turn into a book where there's a flow, where there are certain things I can't say because it's print, like what for example, I code switch a lot, that's Tagalog, English, that
English.
there I had to edit those. So it's basically a really better version of the stuff I already wrote before that was on the blog.
Hmm.
So it
So,
wasn't that hard because it
mhm.
was already kind of done already. I just needed to put it together in a cohesive
Yeah,
form.
got it. So you basically just touched up previous work and made it fit for print form.
Yeah, for a book.
Got it. How did you get it published? What was the process like? I mean, you did work with Summit before. Did you go through them, or how did you?
No,
What was
no, no. There
what was the
is, paano ba yun nangyari? Okay, pinag-pray ko siya. and then, um, and then parang mga few weeks later, on Facebook, I saw that there's this publishing company from Canada that was looking for, they were opening a branch here in Southeast Asia and they wanted to publish South, that's India, South and Southeast Asian writers.
writers?
So I sent my blog link or a portfolio of my work, and then a few days later they replied and said, we really liked how you write, so can you write a book for us? So that was it, and it was it took around 3 months and a lot of editing, a lot of editing. And then this January it was released on Amazon and Kindle, and then a month later the book came. So I'm still
Pretty,
reeling. It's only been 2
pretty.
months.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and it's sold out
Yes, twice.
twice. So I mean, how
Yeah.
did you feel about? How does it feel to be a sold out author? Not many people can say that.
Uy, marami din. But you know what? I haven't processed it yet. Kasi
Yeah.
parang, yeah, I just feel really happy and grateful. Yeah, it's an answered prayer. Yun lang.
When the book does come back in stock, to our monsters listening right now, I'm sure they're very interested already in getting a copy before it sells out for a third time. Where can they find it? Here, especially here in the Philippines, where can they get a copy?
Right now, it's in Shopee because I didn't think of putting it in the physical bookstores because may lockdown eh. Alam mo yun?
Yes.
Like, so parang I didn't want to be there yet. Maybe when this pandemic is over. But for now, it will be available on Shopee, or you can email me so that I can reserve copies because right now it's sold out. So wala siyang, there's nothing on Shopee right now. Just so, yeah. You can email me about it.
So it's been a few months. It's been a few months since. It's been maybe 2 months since the book came out. And I don't know if this is premature to ask, Francis, but do you already have plans for a follow-up book in the future because of the great success you've had with this first one?
Uy, salamat. No, ako wala. But I have readers emailing me and saying, can you write a book on sex? There. So I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not even qualified to write that. I mean, I don't have, well, I do have experience, but it's not like, I don't know who's qualified to write a book on sex.
Right.
So,
The listener, the reader feedback from your book, because of the nature of it being very popular and it's off the shelves already, well, off the internet now in this case. Besides the people asking you for can you write a book about sex? What other kind of feedback did you get? Maybe regarding a story that they related to, where if you're able to share.
A lot of them talked about. They said they cried about. It's the title exactly, about feeling unappreciated, unseen, unacknowledged. So there really is that feeling of disappearing once you become a wife and mother. And even though I didn't feel it, I mean, it wasn't my fear when I got married, because I got married to a really wonderful man who, who always made me feel important, valued there. Hindi ko siya naging fear eh. But when, once you get married, your name disappears. And then if you have babies, and it's a lot of women also stop their careers for their children. So there's another aspect of them that disappears. And
Mhm.
then when um you lose your name, sometimes your identity, and if you're not very careful, you lose your body, right? So I think a lot of women were telling me about that, na they felt unseen and unappreciated because this motherhood thing, this marriage thing is so urgent and so overwhelming that there's no time for you to even think about yourself. And I know
Yeah.
it sounds so bad, and I don't want you, JC, I don't want you to not want to be a parent. but, but it's really like that,
Yeah.
and the thing is, the cliches are true also. It's worth it. And it kind of sucks when the people you didn't really want to believe in when you were a kid, they were telling the truth. Now it's worth it, and the
Yeah.
love that you feel is really like overwhelmingly, like, just consumes you. But at the same time, you're happy and you're loved, but mm, you're simultaneously also feeling resentful
Mhm.
and tired, and feeling like you're losing your identity. Me naman, and I write about it also in the book, it's this losing oneself. It's just a matter of perspective. Maybe it's not losing yourself, but becoming someone else. And that there should be no, well, maybe there should be grief for what you're leaving behind, but you're turning into someone. I would like to think I turned into someone better. We were just talking about this, diba, before the show. Na
Yes.
10 years ago, I didn't really like the person I was. um 15, 10 years to, I wasn't really a nice person there. But now, because of my kids, I really think I've become maybe not a better person, but a wiser, more compassionate one. And isn't that a good thing, that
I agree.
the becoming someone else
Mhm.
and change is always painful, but you're now a better person there,
Better
lang.
person with a new perspective on life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's great. And so, just from hearing you talk, I'm sure a lot of our listeners will enjoy the book. So once it does come back, remember to get a copy of Not Invisible available on Shopee once it does restock. So Francis, let's talk about one of your other ventures. I'm really interested in and what it's about. So you're a co-founder of Lean In PH. It's a local
Yes.
network of the global support organization for women who want to achieve their dreams. And since it is Women's Month, it's a
Yes.
very fitting topic to talk about it. And of course, we shouldn't only always talk about it only during Women's Month. I think we should talk about it all the time. But tell us about Lean In PH and what you do, what your organization does to help women. So,
Well, yes, we started Lean In. Okay, Lean In is global, diba? So it
yes.
was started by Sheryl Sandberg, the COO of Facebook, and she wrote a book 6 years ago, I think, about that was titled Lean In, and it was kasi ganito yon. She was writing about how when women have to decide between family and career, they lean back from the career, because of course, you should always choose your family, right?
Mm, mhm.
There, but she was offering an alternative. Now, why can't we have family and also a career? Like, but the thing is, that's only possible if you have a support, like support group. If
Mhm.
you have the support of your husband, if you're married, if you have the support of your family. Because, if, for example, if you're going to be late at the office, sino mag-aalaga ng mga bata
True.
there? And the good thing about the Philippines is we have a good community. You have the in-laws or your parents. You have your kasambahay there. So, hindi tayo tulad ng ibang countries na if you're a single mom or if it's just the two of you, wala kasi kayong yaya, then
Mm.
who's going to take care of the kids, right? And childcare is so expensive in other
Yes.
countries.
Mhm.
So I'm a lot of Filipinas are very um, fortunate to be able to have that community. And for Lean In, we wanted to offer a community of also professional women or women who may not be professionals yet but want to start a business or are in a business.
I
So
get.
that's what they were doing.
So can you walk me through it? For example, let's say there's a woman out there listening to this interview right now and says that's something that I need. That's something that I feel like I want to have a career, but I also have a family. What do they do? I mean, can you walk me or walk them rather through what it would be like to be part of Lean In PH or to work together hand in hand with Lean In
Yeah.
PH?
Right now kasi we're on right now you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook group. So just
Mm-hmm.
type Lenient PH. Yeah, we have a Facebook group and a Facebook page, but we're really more active in our circle sessions. That's circle sessions are a group of women who meet regularly, maybe once a month or twice a month, and then they help each other and they talk to each other. And that's a sacred space. You can say whatever you want, and you can also expect people, the members, to give you advice or to give you resources or to help you or maybe just the sounding board. And personally, for me, it's helped me when I was launching the book because I have no marketing. I mean, I can do PR, but I don't really know how to sell. It's
Okay.
different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I joined the startup circle session of Lean In, I learned a lot from them. Like they were talking to me about setting goals and this is how you should do this and this is how you should do that. And I very much appreciated that. Maybe that's the reason why I'm sold out because I applied their principles
There we
there.
go.
So yeah, so that's one. There are also other circle sessions that are for sales people. There's madami eh there, and
Mm,
it's the only ones I've joined are the emotional support group
I see.
and the startup group. But yeah, that's how you can find us. We're on Facebook, Lean in PH, and we'll just post schedules for the next circle session. And that's what we do so far.
Awesome.
Kasi may pandemic, so wala kaming ibang magawa.
I've seen a lot of actually from my friends that I follow on Instagram, especially the women that I follow on Instagram who have their own small businesses or they have their own maybe vlogs and their content creation platforms. They seem to have taken to Facebook groups to kind of join together. Not just maybe I'm not sure if it was Lean In PH specifically, but it seems to be that there seems to be a lot of Facebook groups, especially dedicated towards the support of women supporting women. Can you share
Yeah.
maybe more insights about that? Are you part of any other groups, or have you seen the
Yes.
rise of kinds of groups? Could you tell
So,
us more about?
wala, yeah. I can't remember any right now, but I am freelancers groups,
Mhm.
blogger groups, writing groups.
Uh-huh.
What else? Uh, yeah, marami actually.
Uh,
Freelancing, writing, blogging there.
so
And
it's
they
something
really
that you
help.
would recommend. So it's something that you would
Sorry.
recommend. So this is
Yes,
joining these groups something you would recommend to any aspiring
yes. Oo,
entrepreneur.
you know what? It's even if you're not participating, just because a lot of them are either sharing opportunities,
Mhm.
like they would say, there's a job opening here, or they would say, I need help. And sometimes you don't even realize that's also your problem. So you're like, oh, okay, that's my problem. And then you'd see people giving them advice. So it's nice to know that there are other people going through the same things that you are going through. And
Yes.
it's usually a safe space
Mhm.
there. And so yeah, I would
Great.
greatly recommend it.
Thank you for sharing your insights in that, Francis. And a final question, or I guess a final few questions that I'm sure a lot of women out there are curious about. Maybe because you are you deal with a lot of professionals out there. You've worked with you've heard from other women in the professional background and the working world in 2021, this year, this day and age. Is it still very hard for a woman in the Philippines, or let's just say Metro Manila, to make it in their profession as it was maybe, let's say, 20 years ago, 2001? Have you seen any improvements and changes in the way that women are viewed in the workplace, and equality and whatnot?
Yeah, you know what? The Philippines is a good compared to the other countries. The
Hmm.
Philippines is a good place for women who work. We're the only country in Asia that has closed the gender gap in education, in labor force, income equality, uh, even nga political involvement. I mean, other, like the US, di ba, was so proud they have their first VP, female VP. I mean, matagal ng old news na yan sa atin ng 19, ano pa, di ba?
Hmm.
Tama ba? Kailan ba naging VP? Anyway, so here in the Philippines, many businesses are started by Filipinas. And
Hmm.
then women also here occupy many senior management positions. So it's a good thing to be a woman who works in the Philippines.
Hmm.
It's not saying that it's perfect here. One thing that we would like to see is more parent friendly policies and amenities in workplaces. So for example, you're a mom or you're a dad, because who says only moms take care of kids, right? If you want to bring your child to work, it would be nice if there are appropriate places for children in the workplace. Of course, I don't think employers are very happy about that, because who wants children in the office, right? But if we can, if there's more open mindedness towards knowing that your employees are also family men, family women, then that would be a more compassionate, more wonderful place to live, to work in, right? So
Yes.
these are the goals. And yun lang. I'm very proud to be a Filipina because maganda yung ating policies for women here. Maganda yung attitude for working women.
So, what do you think
Yes.
other countries could learn from us? Because you say that here we've done a very good job at closing the gender gap. So,
Yeah.
what do you think that we have implemented here in the Philippines that was successful versus maybe a country that's still struggling to close that gap?
You know what? I think it starts in the families that
Hmm.
we value our girls also. We value in giving them an education. In other countries kasi yung boy lang, yung sige ikaw mag-aral, ganyan. Here, our girls also go to school, our girls also go to college, and then we don't discourage our girls from getting a job. Maybe, yeah, I mean, we have girls who are lawyers, doctors. They're not relegated to the women jobs, like they assume, "Di anak,
The,
mag-teacher ka lang kasi pambabae yan." You know,
mm,
so it starts there. And then I can't speak for every Filipina, but in my case kasi, my gender was never a problem. Like when I would apply for a job, I never felt na I may be more qualified, but the man is gonna get it. I
mm.
never felt that way. So I think other countries would just, if they just treated their women better, it would
Mhm.
be such an improvement. Kahit ganun lang, treat your women better
There we
there,
go.
empower them more. Don't feel threatened because,
Wise words.
yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much, of course, I'm sure a lot of the people listening right now, they want to be able to touch base with you in the future, whether it be through Lean and PH, or to get a copy of your book, or just to maybe hear your thoughts in the future on your blog. So before we let you go, please invite our listeners once again where they can get a copy of your book in the future, and your social media pages, and where they can reach out to you in the
Oh,
next few months.
okay. Thank you for allowing me to promote myself. But before I do, can I just say hi to Vince, to Glyza, Minnie, Donna, and Reese? Reese, thank you for this, okay? And thank you also, Rafi and JC, for having me. Okay, you can find me on topazhorizon.com, my blog. I'm on Instagram at Francis Ampersales. I have Twitter, but okay na, kahit yun na lang, yung dalawang yun. topazhorizon.com and Francis Ampersales on Instagram. I'm good.
And anyone you want to say hello to besides the names you listed? Anyone you want to shout out? Any maybe your husband and your kids, who I don't know if your kids are sleeping now or how old they are, but maybe if they
I
listen
have
to this
one
in the
child awake. Yeah, with here. Say hi. Say hi,
Say hello.
JC. Hello.
Hello.
He should be sleeping, but ayaw. No, I just want to say hi to my readers and my friends who are. They said they would tune in, but I don't know. They're not saying hi to me. But
Well,
so I
always
just, and I want to thank the listeners also for listening to me for 45 minutes.
Thank you very much, Francis, for joining us. Once again, make sure to get her book, Not Invisible, when it does restock. Make sure you sell it out for a third time, because we'd love to see that happen. And thank you. And we hope to see you in the studio once the pandemic is over,
Yeah,
and have you in
yeah.
person.
Stay safe.
Yes. Thank you so much, Francis, and enjoy the rest of your night. And to all our monsters out there, catch us again next week for more hot conversations here on Heard on Thursdays. My name is JC Tevez. Have a wonderful evening, and always keep it locked in here on Manila's hottest, Monster RX 93.1. Good night.
Heard on Thursday.